It was really a very difficult moment. I quite remember we were in a meeting and started having a few WhatsApp texts that we've had such incident, and everyone present at the meeting, even though primarily MPP, work abruptly ended because really, even though it's politics, we are humans first. We together went to school before politics took us to opposing sides. And if you read the piece by Honorable Ayu Efriye, he recounted the fact that he sees Dr. Manibwama as a brother. And they grew up together. They ended up at the medical school in Kolebu together, and they were even roommates. So it goes beyond politics. So it really sent some shivers down our spines. And we couldn't believe the story at the time it broke. So we all took to social media and various WhatsApp platforms to see what people were saying. And in the end, the chief of staff came to corroborate the stories we had heard. So clearly, it wasn't one that anyone would rejoice over, regardless of your differences. I mean, you wouldn't wish anything close to that on your worst enemy, let alone people that you meet along your work, in times of occasions you meet, you grow up together, you see each other, you share ideas. And I just recounted my days in medical school, how we suffered to complete medical school, did our house job, became medical officers and started work proper. And I just put myself in the shoes of Dr. Manibwama, who traversed the same path as some of us. And I cast my mind back to B block. He was in my hostel, except he was there before me. So I just recounted my days at the medical school hostel, B block specific. Dr. Manibwama walked the same path, slept in the same hostel as some of us. So it was a very difficult one to take, and it's still a very difficult one to take. I keep asking myself, indeed, the people are gone, and is it true, or we are still in some elongated dream where we would wake up one day, come back to life, and we'd realize it was all mirage. But day in, day out, the reality keeps dawning on us to say that indeed we've lost such honorable men, people who did not set out to go and do politics. They set out to work for the country, and to lose lives in that manner in the course of service to the country, it's quite heartbreaking. I don't know how we can have closure to this. I don't know how we can move on to this. It's a part of our politics and governance process that it will be a very difficult history to always remember. And it's going to be with us, I think, forever. We would always cast our minds back. We talk of people who lay down their lives to fight for independence and sovereignty for us as Ghana. And we will still remember our 8 gallant men who also lost their lives in line of duty to the country. So yes, it's still a very difficult one to take. And like I said, I hope we would wake up one day and it would be some dream we are still living, and everything will be a mirage. And we can only pray to God and ask for a special prayer for the most affected immediate family, the most affected extended family of the deceased persons, and the government, especially the president, the NDC, and the whole of Ghana. We are all in it together. This is the time for nationality. This is the time to see ourselves as Ghanaians. So we are all in it together. Let everyone be rest assured, honorable, and people of the NDC side, that this is not the time for us to be divided. We are strongly together as a people, and we would continue to remember and cherish the memories of the persons we've lost. And I think Ghanaian Times did a very good job last Friday for the other persons. Because when the news broke, yes, it's always the bigger fishes that would capture the headlines. But the headlines of Ghanaian Times on Friday, they rather had the other 4 people that we rarely mention as their front page. And I think in times like this, yes, let's remember everyone. It's life and everyone is important. So the military men or the servicemen and the other people who do not have the clouds of Honorable Dr. Mani Boama and Honorable Mitala Mohammed are equally part of the boat, and we need to accord each and everyone the needed space in our discourse. So yes, kudos to Ghanaian Times for what they did for the other 4 on Friday.
For you, what are the questions we must be asking?
Clearly, at what height was the aircraft traveling? Because the little physics we did, the higher the distance, the much more momentum or gravity it would act on, and it would enforce velocity, momentum, and all that will come in. And how tall, how low were the trees? Because we are getting a lot of contradicting stories. Some say it hits a mountain, others say it hit trees. So at what altitude was the aircraft really traveling? And if it hit a tree, how tall was the tree? And would the tree have given that impact to that extent? Because it's very difficult to even assemble the little parts of the aircraft left. So I'll be much more interested in the altitude the aircraft was traveling and what really occasioned the impact on the aircraft. And like Doc rightly said, probably it even exploded in the air before coming down. With the little physics we've done and looking at the place, the geography of the place, mainly a cocoa farm, I can't really think of having huge tall trees in cocoa farms. When I cast my memory back to my village and the cocoa farms we visited, hardly would you find such giant trees in there with such height to have occasioned such impacts and to that extent. We all know how the gasoline for aircraft, how combustible it is compared to other fuels. But really, what occasioned the impact? Did we have the impact at high altitude? And gravity, momentum, velocity all came to play to, give us the picture we are seeing. So at this point, it's more about chemistry, what occurred, which reactions took place. It's about physics, at what altitude, what was the impact, the acceleration and deceleration that really acted upon the aircraft, and taking the geography, the immediate environment where everything landed. Can we go and test the soil and test probably the space around to see how much impact the earth even suffered? They all come together to give a picture of the kind of impact the aircraft suffered and how much velocity momentum acted on the aircraft in the process of landing on the ground, to give us a very good picture. But for what we've seen and the kind of impacts, the remains of the aircraft and to an extent the human bodies, you could tell that the impact was quite high in terms of where the aircraft was traveling in terms of altitude. But of course, we will still wait for the investigations and what the investigations will reveal. Some of us might not have the opportunity because it's a sensitive issue and it's about national security and whatnot. Probably people high up might have insights, but I would wish maybe, the investigations, whatever it reveals, will trickle down for some of us to also have insights to, help us understand the little questions we have to better understand issues. But of course, there is still a lot of questions that need to be answered. And you ask some of the right questions. Could we have had a backup in terms of an escort and honorable justice to it? Are we prepared? Do we have enough resources? How many aircraft do we have? And should any emergency of a sort occur up there, how feasible is it to transfer the people from one aircraft in the air to the other. So yes, they might have thought about it, but in a scenario like this, I don't think we would have had the luxury of time to even transfer other people. The best the other aircraft could have given us was perhaps what really happened in the air. But in terms of the human transfer onto a different aircraft mid-air, I doubt we would have had the luxury of time to evacuate people from one aircraft to the other, looking at the little space we have in terms of what's really occurred. But we will still wait on investigations to see what really transpired and what lessons we can learn. So unfortunate that the 8 persons would have to be subjects of, should I say, a little lessons being learned by the state. No one would want to be a reason why we would have such lessons to guide the future. But we'll still wait for some of the answers from the investigations that will be carried out.
So the flight left the Air Force Base at 9:12. Yeah. We're told, at least that's what we've learned. So all things being equal, the flight should have arrived at 12 minutes past 10, based on what I call the normal travel time with the heli. Now, does any of you here know how we found out that there has been a crash only around, it's been after 2, I believe. Around 2, 3 p.m. thereabout. Because you heard yours around 4 p.m.
No. I think it was after 12. After 12 there, around 12.
You heard it around 12 something?
Yes. At the time, we had it 1 p.m.ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
But Doc, you heard yours
I
around...
had it late because I went
Oh, you
for
had
a meeting,
the long meeting.
and put my phone on silence.
Yes.
And I came out after 2 something, getting to 3.
Yes.
And that is when
Because,
I heard it.
apparently, per the Civil Aviation Authority's manual, 30 minutes after a plane crashes, civil aviation should be aware. And immediate action taken in tracing where the no, I'm just asking, we're just asking questions.
Yes.
30 minutes
Yeah.
per their own manual, and it's there.
It could be they,
So why
they heard
2,
it
3
earlier.
hours?
It could be they heard it earlier, but to the largely the public.
So
information
question
might have
is, when
come
they
late.
heard it, we want to know what they did, right?
Yeah.
What the immediate action they
Right.
took.
Sure.
That's when the investigation team would come out with.
Yeah, would come out
say,
with.
let's wait to see. Because if they heard it and there were 3 ministers on it, let's say 2 ministers plus a national security coordinator with all these top military officers inside.
Yes.
They would definitely like to be concrete sure
Of when
before,
exactly
because people call to say an helicopter has crashed, this person has died. No. They have to really understand who were really those inside and whether they've really perished before they come out with a statement.
Yeah.
So it could be that they heard it. I'm thinking so. But they were keeping it. But see, from where it happened, even communication from there back to town is a problem.
True.
It's a problem. And to send another helicopter there was a challenge because we don't know whether it was the weather. We don't know. How do you send another helicopter to go there to rescue if you don't know what really caused that? That may also be another challenge.
But Doc, I pardon me.
Yes.
I'm just thinking aloud. I'm just thinking aloud. So the helicopter, in fact, I'm told 4 minutes before the incident happened, they are spoken to the, I think it must have been the MC or so, that they were almost there. So I'm just thinking that if you're expecting the helicopter to arrive at 12 minutes past 10, right? All things being equal. It's 12 minutes after 10. Let's even say 10:30, granted. The organizers for the program would have known that, look, the thing is not here, so something is wrong. And that's even assuming nobody at the wherever it is, whether it's a base or wherever it is. Nobody was even told that there was a problem. I mean, couldn't the Ghana Armed Forces? Because you see, the route to, and again, I'm saying, pardon my ignorance, but I'm just thinking aloud. The road from, and here I'm talking about air route, right? From the Air Force Base to Obuasi, I'm sure it's just one. Unless, of course, you want to do a detour and so on. There's only one familiar route, let's put it that way, right? So couldn't the Ghana Armed Forces have quickly activated one of their aircraft, one of their helis? That's assuming we do have them. To just say, at least you just go and find, because you see, you talked about altitude, the height.
Yeah.
They would have at least picked up something happening on that route. So if you bring it to our route, the route that we have, I'm going to say, I know, so somebody's going to come and say, we know the route. We know that this is the route the person is going to use. In Sawam, blah, blah, blah. If the person doesn't arrive in Kumasi at that time, shouldn't somebody be driving on that road to find out what could have possibly happened?
Right.
That same route. And if there's a problem, you would have noticed. Instead of waiting till you get all these details when you don't have time, like you said.
I actually believe.
We
clearly understand. We understand you, but like Honorable said, if it was due to bad weather,
yes,
would you want to risk another aircraft?
But there's a bad weather.
The same zone.
No, but there's a bad weather.
Yes.
But you have dispatched an aircraft through that bad weather to Obuasi.
I believe at the time of the incidents,
the weather was fine.
People in authority heard about it. But rather, it was a matter of information management. That's what I believe. I'm entertaining the scenario where before everything broke on social media and radio and traditional media, the presidency had come to announce it. The shock would have been unbearable. Allowing the thing to go on, whether rumor, whether confirmed or unconfirmed, it sort of prepares people's mind.
No, Doc, you're not getting me. You're not getting the point I'm making. My point is that the flight was supposed to arrive at a certain time. It hasn't arrived, so there's a problem. So even if you don't hear from them, there must be a quick follow-up.
Maybe they knew what had happened.
Yeah, you remember they said
what had happened.
They lost track of them.
Yes.
They said they lost track of them.
Yes.
Definitely they might have started doing something.
Yes.
Then remember to the Ghanaians, we have one character, we have one problem when it comes to time management. Perhaps those even at the event site, if they were even late, they wouldn't even think at all that something might have happened to them on the way. They think the usual lateness of we getting to events could be one of the usual things. And those also at the Air Force Base, perhaps haven't lost track of them, they will be trying to establish. And now that the flight is completely destroyed, how are they going to establish? They would have to wait and hear from bystanders or those who observe the incident happen. And looking at the place it is, before they can call to report to get to the Air Force Base and then the rest, it will take time. And when it happens, they will also like to confirm before they even transmit the news to the Flagstaff House. That is my thinking.
Yeah, and possibly engagement with Jubilee House, that this is a situation. We are still working around it to really ascertain what had happened. So it becomes a situation between the armed forces and Jubilee House, how to manage it and what steps were being taken. I believe behind the scenes, some actions were taken that we are not privy to.
Are you two suggesting that even if the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority and the Ghana Armed Forces had learned, let's say around even 11 o'clock that the thing had crashed, or 10:30 that the thing had crashed, there would have been a difficulty in tracing exactly where the thing happened? And also we must begin to ask ourselves the question of whether we had a spare car to move quickly. Once in the air, figure out what to do, whether to bring the people down, as we see sometimes during the 6th March, where, they throw, there's this thing, it looks like a
rope.
Yes, a rope. They throw it down, and then they come down quickly and see whether they can rescue. I mean, they couldn't have done all of that.
That's still part of the questions.
That's still part of the questions. So I would say science, the investigation team will give us some answers. Right.
And again, help us. So back to the issue of chemistry.
Yeah.
What is this explanation we're hearing about the body bags? If we're taking the body bags there, they would have the temperature there would have melted it. And so the only option we had was the cocoa sacks, the jute sacks.
I'm trying to figure out
to put the
indeed
charred bodies in.
At what point did we go in for the remains? If we went in there immediately after the impact, your bet is sure that the temperature was quite high in terms of the remains.
Okay.
And anything plastic, especially light plastic, stands the risk of being melted.
True.
With such high temperatures. But looking at, with all that we are saying, I believe at the point of collection of the remains, just opposing that to the time the incident happened, I believe there was time for the temperature of the bodies to have reduced. I rather believe that the community people rather wanted to help, and in their quest to help, they rather, because they are primarily cocoa farmers, had the sacks at their disposal, and they went in there as Ghanaians as we are. Come again?
Why not small?
It's the Ghanaian nature to want to help in times of situations like that.
So if you collect the remains, where are you taking them to?
So rather, there should have been a communique, and the security agencies probably barricade the immediate environment of the impact to create, in quote, what we see in movies as a crime scene, and prevent people from getting access to the crime scene. Because yes, like Doc said, encroaching the crime scene, you risk contaminating evidence. You seriously risk contaminating evidence. So I believe security agencies, even if we're waiting for special deployment, vis-a-vis NADMO or Ghana Armed Forces, should have barricaded the immediate environment of the scene and prevented people from getting access to the impact area.
And unfortunately,
but the question is, did we have such security, presence at the scene?
No.
And people would ordinarily want to go and help.
Yeah.
We are Ghanaians. But the absence of the security to demarcate the area is what, fueled people's, genuine quest to help to enter the place and collect the remains. But as to the temperature difference, I would want to know at the time of the impact and the time of the collection to learn properly the state of the bodies in terms of temperature at that point. Is it one that the bag could have handled, or the sack? But I want to know the time difference and the temperature difference. But if it was immediate, then anything plastic risk being melted as compared to
I'll need some information on something. And maybe, Annie, you can help me with this, because I also want to ask. Of course, I do not in any way want to impugn any ill motive on the part of the residents. I think they meant well. That has to be put on record, so that I'm not misunderstood or misconstrued. When the incident happened and the bodies got burnt, unfortunately, sadly. Now, does anybody have any information? And Annie, please, if you do, let me know. Whether the residents immediately rushed to the scene. And when they rushed to the scene, did they go there to collect the dead bodies or to look for something? Wreckages, perhaps, because we know about the guy who said, as for him, the watch, that's what he wanted, right? Well, that's what he liked. Or it was after the regional minister and the local assembly people, including MCE, went to the top and saw the situation for themselves. That was when a directive was given that please collect the remains and put them in these sacks. What do we know?
From first respondent, before my senior comes in,
yes,
the farmers, from the interviews we saw, clearly stated that.
Okay. So people, before you go ahead, I'm told there's a video which will help with our. We are thinking aloud. Yeah, sure. Sorry, we're thinking aloud. So let's watch this video first.
Ya sore no pa ne ye kuafo ye kwafom na ba bia ye fo so ben forest no enti e bra ye wo fo ma na ti se bibia blast bugum ti ye adwo se play na besene kona na ahwe fom ti ye be kona yakọ se bi obi afra to no hia mo bia ye ti
edi kai mudi kai hu play se play bi ba
play ni ba ha yi din kai hu se play na e ba enti ancha na play no e blast ye bugum ti ye ne ye nim se play na ahwe fom enti ye be ko forest won yakọ na obi hia mo bia ya boa no ampa mene bla ba ko e fra ni jasi ene ye se ye ko ti esi forest la na ye kro na ana o ka kire mi se obi ba ti ni pa kro no me hwe ya na ye madam fo ba ko ye fra ni Gideon ono oba ma ne o de boy an se pray na be se na tiato e megya dem a e hye ne emu ni pa nyina ahye ti ye se won ko kire ba bia pray ti e bra o de ye kokora no ono kora no won se hu ba bia pray no kora no etoto ya o de ye kontie ne nam forest na ani ye kwa ya ne nam me pono so a ne ko se jane de wo soro ijane de wo soro ti ye kwa ya no na ye no kwasem ne ye pray no atofom e boduam wo soro duam e wo soro ti e bo mu sa no na ti be hwe fom atofom no ejatom ama ye kwa ne na de enipa ye di nka hu no ba ko de no wahye masabe ne hu nyina hye ama wono oda ho na babia pre ne te atithwe pa na ne gane dende ne yentimi hu nipa o mugu ho but ne gane so gane na de kase pa anti ne yentimi hu enipa wo mo ho baba kono de na egana hye no ama wono oda nchen na babia ne gane de pa ne de ne yentimi hu nipa wo mo ho ba pre ne de na ne nyina hye pre ne de ne nyina hye
enti eba sa no na moye ni pasen die mokoduro die na moye
die koduro die ansa me koduro na me nkurafo enti eno achi ana bla ba ko ba na ye friend ba wo mia wo krom ha ya oba ho no okurafo ana ye se okurafo de a fra samle man na bona man ye se de asie ni ba ye de ye wa ha ye ne di information e ma assembly man se de asie ni enti anche ye hu de na fa de dom bebre na mokwa no so ba na mokwa no so ba enti
answer me jawo no se dampaya forest ni
dampaya forest ni semusa baskama brofid dampaya no
enti ususu se anopa be tamben
ba me de na me watch e bomi ya na mabaya dafo ma na me donti na watch ne momme enti madwene mu de na ye tan be tan mu
10 am
tan be pa ho kra na mpa ho kase bia sa anopa tan
tama muhu plane no oboase na eko ahaso nya oboase na musa na abafom sesen
e pa cho ba bia ye gina odu ani hwa ha ya efri ha ya na eko ye ni ayefo da anu se no ye ti plan enti wo hwa sabi po ye si hoi sabi po ye si wo tintin ya bipo ya menu mienu gina bontim ha ya ni tuai eno so na plane etitoye e boduam awo soro na ti be hwe fom ti dua na ebo mu no kura tutu medua no e da wo hwa e bonko mu no soro pa na plane etito fom na blast ye ti ye ne ko hu ye ne de ne jadam tutu
ana me de bado kakra nti me sa ba se me sika nti me du wa na mu se me se me sika na mu se plane ne e ba
na every side be
every you say me fe
akra okay
akra side na e ba bo ase na me say me kwa na me du no me say ewrade no mo bo ma fa nkopem wo sa be kwa na ewa so ntem me be 8 years to 10 years be buy ma o si ma aba fu ya pa ti we so enti ewrade me sra hu mo bo na mana adwe na won san na chi in the second some say bra na me say ewrade o mo de apem
na say all koni nyina hu say
me hu na me say me sekan
ba na bosu esi
bosu na esi pa
okay
na me say on to no bo me dey say ma kuma na me kam say ewrade hu mo bo me kan mo go bi dwan go beti me say ewrade hu mo bo no on san na dey mana adwe on san na chi na sabi so oko I want you to kopim wo
people na wa
boss me na da na wo fom be say be kowe mienza
people no
Dabi,
helicopter.
Okay.
So that's a bathroom.
In the area all the weapons. And the two brother from our house about. Let me say what out. Sorry. Who plays a plane with you? Or from a woman is a plane at an ashful. Oh, for a cinema. Also, when you call them saying, was I Milko by Melman who be at a airport. And it meant sister, you know, a name, Rabba Coberton. Let me say, sister. What they say, Premier for plane ashing, oh, for a cinema. And he went also young quay. No, boy, now come in, no, I ain't Usru. Let me say, or the mention no man. Let me come back. And the mail driver who's the best together, by Mr. Massa. Walk on us, I say, near the S in the ankle. Only in a course, a course. Well, maybe say this here, where does say, I saw the can make what and I saw one. That was a way I could do it. Yakoke. That's
also a BSC had a like.
8 years. A buy no. Name look me say, and the almost 4 years could be no sanity. A buy. 2 weeks, I know, share a park and on my first park and a balance catra into the park in this. I mean, on what kind, Mamma Amity say, Sabbath in Dresser, park and into or by an hour share park in the hand of the sea, man, I can say, I mean, in Ati, into Antron, maybe can say, oh, Raddy, can go do, and I saw manager.